kind of good or kind of fluent in a language, and then we go out drinking, because drinking sort of makes that sort of processing and decision making, or not decision making, but that ability to process and link data, it sort of muddles it. So you sort of notice that people speaking a second language, as they become more and more intoxicated, they become less and less fluent in the language, because it becomes harder and harder for them to be able to process the dialect and then to, transfer it back to the native language, find the meaning, and then think about the new translation for the new meaning. Like when we're fluent in something, like even in English, the drunker and drunker I become, the harder and harder it is for me to do complex thought processes. So my speech becomes simpler and simpler. And if I try and do too much of a complex thing, like if you're sort of, 20 beers in, like trying to hold a conversation like this, you're sort of sitting there stumbling over your words and getting distracted, and it's hard to follow a train of thought. And that's important, because like these stages of learning is like that for everything. So the more we understand on what we're doing, the more obsessed we become, because the easier it becomes and the more enjoyable it becomes. So to understand this is just a process of achieving any goal that you want, is becoming obsessed about the activities that get the result. Do you sort of understand? So when I become obsessed about the workout and making sure that every bicep curl is correct movement, is correct form, when I become obsessed about the weight and I just want to increase, even if it's just half a kilo every week, a kilo every week, like it becomes a game that is fun. So that's the thing, is we get taught by society and life that business is stressful, that achieving, weight loss is a stressful process of pushing yourself to the limit. But pushing yourself to the limit is fun. Like you either get to choose if something is negative and stressful, or you get to choose if it's fun and enjoyable. And that's what happens, is when we start to identify the activity as being fun and enjoyable, it becomes easier to spend more and more time doing it, because this is the action that gets me the enjoyment and the result. So do you sort of understand when we shift our focus from the results? Because when we're focused on the results, I have to do the actions to get the results, but it's very stressful because I haven't got the results yet. So I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel like I'm achieving, like I'm succeeding. And that's the thing, is we're creating this negative environment that we've got to battle out of to try and achieve the result that we want. But the truth is, the moment we start walking the path of taking the actions that get the result, we've already achieved it. Like all we have to do is just do the actions and the results are there. And that's a funny thing, because I focused so much when I was younger, when I ate bad food, when I didn't diet properly, and by diet I just mean eat natural healthy foods. Like I ate high processed foods, I ate fast food a lot and all of this, and I wanted them. And the truth is like there are 3 chemicals in our brain that like dominate everything: serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine. These are the 3 chemicals that control our life and decision making in everything. So to understand this is just to understand that like the diet I had developed from immature behaviors and actions was one that was a diet that released a lot of these chemicals, serotonin and dopamine, because you're eating very, very sugary and greasy foods, which naturally influence and stimulate, and with all the chemicals, influence and stimulate those areas through taste, through MSG, that taste of meaty savouriness. So when we get a big hit of MSG, it's a dopamine release. Do you see? So like the thing is, but natural foods also have that. But in understanding, if I want serotonin to be released, all I need to do is be happy. If I'm having fun, I'm happy, so I'm always getting these releases. Dopamine is the chemical that controls our behaviors in terms of survival instincts. So like my dopamine releases so that I remember the path to the food source. My dopamine releases when I eat, so I remember to eat. And that's one of the funny things, that like these chemical releases in our brains have been developed through evolution, societal evolution, so us working in units and teams and communities, and also in the human evolution of, survival instincts and, survival of the fittest, where like we're looking to evolve and we're looking to avoid negative activities that lead to, death. So, for example, we feel fear when we're standing on the edge of a cliff, because, like, if we were to slip, like that's a sure thing. So the thing is our brain, when it perceives like danger, or when it perceives negative behaviors, it starts to create fear responses, so that you don't, so that you stay away from it. Do you sort of understand? So like the negative aspects of life, that we feel these negative emotions, are created in our brain to sort of, as a magnet, repel us from what we're not wanting in our life, and we're being attracted through the positive chemicals to the things that we do want in life. But the problem is throughout society, people have manipulated this in terms of, fast food manipulated putting chemicals into their food to increase, the chemical releases in the brain to create, these, like, not unrealistic, but to create unconscious and negative buying behaviors that were in their best interest. So, for example, it is pretty clear that it's not good to eat McDonald's 5-6 days a week. But McDonald's is doing everything it can to get you in there 5-6 days a week by offering all these different, value discounts, all these different promotions, but also in designing the taste of the food that they cook. So they design it so that it literally creates these, like, not addictions, but you become addicted because it's releasing such thing. And it's not to say that that's a negative thing. Because if you think about it, what they're trying to do is artificially create the best psychological experience while eating their food. That's why Macca's tastes so good, but then you feel so shit. Do you get it? Like, the chemicals trick your brain. And that's so funny. Because, like, we do this to ourselves as well. Like, but other people try to do this to us as well. So if we stay on goal achievement, people are going to tell you about all these easy shortcuts for you to achieve the goal. And the goal is only going to give you that artificial, chemically, induced, like, hit. Whereas when we love the work that we do and the actions that we take, every time we take them, we naturally get those chemical releases. That's why when you see, like, gym junkies, they become excited as they go into the gym, because it starts releasing those chemicals. because it's sort of like, and this is through conditioned behavioral responses. Pavlov's dog, Pavlov used the meat and basically rang a bell, got the dog associating the bell to meat, and then took the meat away after a while and started ringing the bell. And every time Pavlov rung the bell, the dog started to salivate as if it could smell the meat, because it was like a psychological conditioned response in terms of the dog associates the bell with meat, so now it's expecting meat. Do you sort of understand? So we're trying to avoid the process of conditioning, because what we want to do is we want to condition our mind to release the chemicals through doing the actions. But the only way we can do that is by focusing on the actions, and the actions become the holy grail. Because if I'm focused on the results, I want to try and find a way to minimize the amount of effort put into the actions and maximize the results. Whereas if I'm focused on the actions, I want to try and maximize the outcome of the actions. Do you sort of understand? Our psychology looks to minimize the time we spend on things that we deem as being unimportant. So if I want to have a certain body shape, and that's the thing that is important to me, everything else is unimportant. Unless I have that, nothing works. So think about it in sort of life and success. Like, let's take YouTube, for example, and content creation. Like, most people, unless they have X amount of followers, unless they have X amount of views, they don't feel enjoyable to do the activities. So many of them, and it's so funny, because especially the ones that use Patreon, and this isn't to have a shot at them or anything, but there's one fella I like to listen to that does updates on the Ukrainian war. But when he says, come follow me on Patreon, because it's very difficult for me to stay motivated to create this content unless I'm earning money from it or generating money, because I'd have to go and get a job and whatnot. You know what I mean? So it's the content creation isn't the thing he's identified as the enjoyment or the success, but it's the outcome of the content creation, the views, the returns. So unless he gets the returns, it's sort of like he's losing time spent doing the content. Whereas when you're focused on the activity of content creation and not the outcome of content creation or the results, it's sort of like I could spend my life, I can literally, and I will literally spend my life talking about all this stuff, because it's what I would do. It's what I do when I'm relaxing. I enjoy it. I don't really care if I ever make money on it. It doesn't matter. The act of doing it is what gives me joy and pleasure. Do you understand? So I'm getting the dopamine releases when I take the action, because I feel like I'm moving towards what I desire in life. And that's a funny thing, because if we understand it, then we can understand, well, in relationships, what are the activities or actions that create a good relationship? And then they just become the focus, not the outcome of having a good relationship on paper. Do you know what I mean? So it's sort of like if I do small acts or gestures, of kindness, if I try and make someone feel good, if I build someone up, if I, do all these different things, that's going to create the best environment for the results that I want. But if I just focus on trying to have the best relationship, well, then I'm looking at it so I've got to do all these things, and what do I get in return? Do you understand? When I just take enjoyment out of doing the action, I get everything in return. Because in doing the action, I'm doing what I want to do in life. I'm fulfilling, my desires in life. So it's sort of like, you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter if I get anything back for doing nice things for people or not, because I'm giving myself everything in the world for doing it. Like, does that make sense? Like, when I do content creation, like, I do it because I enjoy it. So now I have it. Like, do you understand? I can watch it whenever I want. I can do whatever I want with it. Like, I get the enjoyment from it. It's an experience. Like, but also in my day-to-day life, I get those chemical releases that elevate me to making me feel like I'm progressing towards the goal, that I'm achieving the goal. That, and the results are just linked to the action. Look, that's it. The more content you produce, the more people that will see it. When will they see it? Who knows? How will they see it? Who knows? Does it really matter if they see it? Not really. Because the point isn't for them, like, the goal isn't to create content just for, 1 million people to watch. Like, what's the point of that? Like, look at Mr. Beast with his. Like, he's trying to create content after content after content that progresses and always gets more and more and more and more viewers. Do you understand? But the problem is, if we're only focused on that, if I get 1 million views this month and then I get 10,000 views next month, well, I've just lost 990,000 views. How bad am I? Do you understand? Whereas when I focus on the content or the production or the process of doing it, and I don't focus on the results, like, I can identify, well, what did I do last month and what did I do this month? And then I can bring it into next month and then bring it into next month. Like, it doesn't really matter. So it becomes a game. Do you understand? Like, it's a game of progression towards the goal. Whereas if I'm only ever focused on the goal, all I'm looking at is how long of a journey I've got to get there and how difficult it's going to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I love walking, what's it matter if I have to walk 1,000 kilometers? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be difficult, but if every day I'm just trying to walk 20, 30, 40 kilometers, like, it's only a matter of time before I reach the end goal. Whereas if I'm trying to walk 1,000 kilometers and I'm trying to do it in one go, that's an impossible task. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not impossible, but, like, that's how I will see it, because all I want is the end result, but I've got such a long path to walk. Whereas I can focus on the action and activities over the result, and now it's like every day I get to walk on the path and see something new and develop, and the path develops every day. Like, it's a process. Do you understand? But the second I start walking, I've already achieved everything at the end because I'm doing it. So the thing is all I have to do is keep doing it, and I've achieved it. Like, it's not a matter of, like, time. Like I get to feel how I want to feel. I get to give myself the emotions that I want in life and that I'm seeking. I don't need other people to validate me so that I can then allow myself to give it to myself. So, like, it's a funny thing, because once you understand this, like, everything is achieved. It's just a process of walking the path. And you think about it, like, life is a journey. So irrespective of if you walk the path towards your goal or if you walk a path away from your goal, it doesn't really matter. Like, you still got to walk. Like, you're still walking. So if we think about this in life, like, you're still alive every day. So you can wish and want for 5 years in the future to be a billionaire or a millionaire or, you know, CEO of this blah, blah, blah. And you can wish and want for it all you want. But until you take the action towards it, like, you're never getting it. Like, it doesn't matter. You can wish and want all you want. Try and find the easy solution. But you're not going to, you know, you're not going to achieve it without doing the required action. But the other thing is that, like, you don't get to, like, shut off your life for 4 years, come back, you know, turn yourself back on 1 year out and then go, woo, let's rush this bitch. No, you're still alive. So the choice is, you can do what you want to do in life, or you can wait for the time that you're allowed to do what you want to do in life. Like, life's still going to pass. It doesn't really matter. Like, you don't get to pause life and then skip into the future without having to experience life. So the thing is like, you're on the journey. You're walking a path. It doesn't really matter. It's just, you have to walk the path to your goal if you want your goal. If you want to eat fast food every day, but you want to be healthy as well, like, you can eat fast food every day and you can tell yourself that you're healthy, but you're not healthy. Like, you can argue against it if you want, but whatever. Like, you know, you will deteriorate. Like, it's not a question. Like, you can want all you want in life for weight loss, but if you have a high carb, high fat diet, like, it's going to be a long, difficult journey. Like, that's just life. Like, you can go against the required actions if you want and try and avoid taking them, but you're not going to get to the result that you want that way. Like, it's never going to happen. You'll get a different result going that way.